Clear?
Yes, sir. We are able to see your PPT.
Second slide. Yeah.
Yes, second slide. Yeah, objective of the session. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
So we will start with the session. Before that, a formal introduction. Yep.
Right.
I, Dr. Saili Karende. Good morning, all. I, Dr. Saili Karende, welcome you all to today's session of the master class series organized by the School of Management, PCT, Pimpri Chinchwad University. As a part of our pre-induction program, we aim to offer you not just academic insights, but the real-world perspective from industry leaders who are shaping the business landscape. Today, we are honored to host a distinguished professional, Dr. Sagar Wadkar sir, an independent practitioner and cooperative policy analyst currently serving as a member of the core committee of the Model HR and Recruitment Policy of the Ministry of Corporation Government of India. With over 12 years of experience in agribusiness development, social enterprise management, and cooperative law, Dr. Wadkar sir has worked with several reputed institutions, including the National Cooperative Union of India, New Delhi, Vamicom, Pune, TISS, Mumbai, and ICARI, New Delhi. He specializes in cooperative government, policy research, and designing responsible governance framework, focusing on strengthening accountability and sustainability through self-regulatory organization. Dr. Wadkar sir has conducted influential national studies for the Government of India, particularly for Ministry of Education on education, Ministry of Corporate Affairs on competitiveness and sustainability of farmer, producer organizations, FPOs, Ministry of Corporation on comparisons of cooperative law and comparison of cooperative versus business entities, etc. Dr. Wadkar sir holds degree in agriculture from Punjab Rao Deshmukh Krishi Vidyapit, Akola, Maharashtra, and his master's in agriculture extension and communication from GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, and he is a doctorate in agricultural extension education from ICAR, National Dairy Research Institute, Karnal, Haryana. Such a rich profile, sir. We are really excited to hear from you, sir. Stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So at the outset, let me thank PCT's Pimpri Chinchwad University School of Management for inviting me for this master class series as part of your, pre-induction classes. So, so topic of my today's, discussion is the management with a purpose, pathways through cooperatives and social enterprise. So the objective which I have set for the today's session is, to orient you or to recognize the how business is evolving from profit-only models to a purpose-driven enterprises. So what are those broader global and nationwide developmental challenges which are now talking about the inclusive and sustainable development? So within this domain, how now then the purpose-driven organizations they are working, what is its the ecosystem, what upcoming opportunities are there for you guys, you as a management professionals, and plus I would be also sharing some real-world examples of cooperatives and then how they link SDGs, and then nowadays we are also talking about ESG framework, environmental, social, and governance framework. And then, I would be also discussing on the career pathways, not, explicitly as a, few slides on that, but yes, while discussing on different aspects of this cooperative and social enterprise ecosystem, I would be highlighting those such, career opportunities for your, job, or my presentation would be more focusing on the, inspiring you about starting your own venture, because the B School and then I'm sure the Pimpri Chinchwad University also they will also be happy if you start your own venture, because that's how now ecosysteming is, gearing up to start a different entrepreneurial journey by youth particularly. So let's now look at these global and national developmental challenges, and why, my argument that why the purpose matters. So, the rising inequality. So the Oxfam International, it's one of the, leading developmental agency. They have reported that in India, the top 1% of the population, having around 40% of, total wealth, wherein the bottom 50% of the people having just 3% of wealth. And then globally also, this scenario is very skewed. The top 1% carries around 66% of, wealth. So that's how this inequality. So we need to have the balance, development, the climate crisis and the resource stress. Now, you take any sector, this climate crisis and then resource stress, in every sector we have this, impact of this. And there are so many, reports also talks about this. And then personally, we ourselves also now witnessing the kind of vagaries of the climate. So there is need not to explain further on this, aspect. The food security and nutrition gaps. So now when we talked about food security, it's very important to understand the four dimension, because globally and nationwide, there are reports to measure the status of food security. So on four indicators, they measure. One is food availability. Secondly is food accessibility and affordability. The third is its utilization, food utilization. And fourth is stability. So now we as an India, we are self-sufficient. So by 1980, we became self-sufficient in food grain production. That's how the agriculture student must be knowing about the, the white revolution, green revolution, blue revolution, and thereby we could, could achieve that food security status quo. And then, as far as the food accessibility and affordability is concerned, so there are, entire ecosystem is is in place to ensure that accessibility and affordability. Though there are challenges because the public distribution system is working on that aspect, but then still that is a different, discourse. So we'll not go in that discourse, but yes, we could broadly have achieved this food security. The third component is food utilization. And that is what nothing but the nutritional security. So the globally, if you see the developmental agenda has been now shifted from food security to achieving a nutritional security, right? And then fourth is the stability. So the food stability, that means the food security remain as a forever global and nationwide agenda, because whenever the climate crisis, resource stress situation occurs, you must have seen in different media, the people relate it with the food security. Plus, nowadays, when we talked about nutritional security, so we are now again going back to our native roots and talking about the organic farming. That's all the traditional farming. So in that discourse also, there are, discussion, and then there are debates where if we are going for the organic production, how it will affect the food security. The Sri Lanka case, we are aware of it, right? But just to conclude that, scenario, they took a very decisive stand that tomorrow onwards will not have a chemical fertilizer. This will not happen like that. So there is a balanced transition period of 3 years. So we need to have, that 3 years transition period. Then only we can slowly, we can have that kind of a scenario. But it's always, we can say it a residue-free farming. So the complete organic farming is not possible, but yes, residue-free farming, is achievable. So, and then moving on, the food wastage, the malnutrition, food wastage. So malnutrition status I already talked about. Before food wastage, let me, give you very, the statistics. The National Institute of Post-Harvest Engineering and Technology in Ludhiana, so they have studied, so across different commodities, whether it is food grain, dairy, fishery, and then other such products. from farm gate to consumer, in terms of handling this commodity through different supply chain, different people, we are losing almost 92,000 crore rupees. So it's a huge amount, and I think this is a directly, indirectly money of our Indian farmers. So it is just because of the kind of the forward linkages are not in place, because of which we are losing this much amount, and this is called the food loss. And once this food stuff reaches to the consumer level, so again that food wastage. So that percentage is also too much actually, and monetary value is also too much. So how we can have a answer to this is the question. Access to affordable healthcare and medicine. So again, the if you see the statistics, so out of 100 rupees, more than 40 rupees in general in India, I'm talking about, we are spending on the health facilities. And then if you see the institutional delivery, right, so that percentage is also very, very less. So how we can create that, the healthcare ecosystem, that's also, question which can reach to the rural and marginalized groups. Youth unemployment and underemployment. So if you see the percentage, so almost around 23 to 25% of our youth is unemployed today, right? And then employment percentage is again very severe. And then if you see the population, so more than 60% of our population is below 35 years age, and then they are depending on the job availability, job opportunity. So, and that's why to channelize the energy of youth, you must have seen the Ministry of, almost all the ministries are now encouraging youth to come out with their own startup, right? So instead of, running behind job or, becoming a job seeker, be a job giver, be an employer. That's what the ecosystem is, gearing up, on the line. Last but not least, the market failures and then exclusion, right? So we see the exclusion where in our case, in the agriculture domain, also more than 86% of the smallholder farmers, they're not able to access market. They are not able to get the capital, right? Despite the having, the good quality of the agro produce, which they produce after the very, after their, pain. So, but it's just because we don't have that, ecosystem, whether it is the backward linkage, forward linkage, right? So how we can create that inclusive development, how we can provide that kind of access to credit, access to market to these people, so that, these poor, marginalized and vulnerable people also can get the dignified life, So cumulative of all these, issues and challenges, the public, private, and then civil society organization, donor agencies, they are working on this line. But now let's look at from the business model point of view, right? So we have these three different types of, the business model. So on the continuum, if you see on the left-hand side, we have a for-profit entities, which is more of on the shareholders centric, right? Some of you may be, having, maybe involved in the, trading, the share trading, right? So these are the different companies. These are the different acts basically under which private people, they operate their business. So either they can operate as a partnership firm, or maybe they register under the Indian Companies Act and then become a private limited company or the public limited company, or maybe the partners are coming together and then starting their LLP, limited liability partnership, or the individual wants to start his business. So sole proprietorship, right? So sole proprietorship is not a legal entity. So to make this sole proprietorship as a legal entity and to gain that kind of a credibility and then status in the market, right? So this One Person Company Act, by amending Indian Companies Act only in 2013, we have this OPC. So these private players, they get registered under these different acts. On the right hand, you will have a not-for-profit entity. So they are the organization, they are mission-led. They do commercial activity, but then whatever the profit they are, getting, they are reinvesting for the purpose for which they have started their organization, right? So like the NGOs, the non-governmental organization, generally they get registered under the Societies Registration Act, 1860. The many religious and temples committees, they get registered under the Indian Trust Act. And then nowadays, the to streamline this sector as well in terms of transparency and then accountability, the government of India came with the new act, that is the Section 8 of Indian Companies Act 2013, by which the such NGOs who wants to work for scientific, religious, and then for developmental purpose, they can register their organization under this Section 8, right? So these are the organization works for not for profit. Now, in between model is the cooperative, social enterprises, or mutual benefit organization. So the cooperative is a state subject. So I'll not go in detailing of the law part, but yes, just to understand it, right? So the cooperative started way back in 1904, right? Before independence, right? So since then and then in 1919, right? It became a state subject, provincial subject, and now it's a state subject. So which means every state has their own Cooperative Society Act. So a person who wants to register, or the group of people wants to register their organization under the Cooperative Society Act in a given state, they need to visit to the the Tehsil level. There are office. So it's a very hierarchical structure. So at the state level, they have a register of Cooperative Society, Cooperation Department. Then they have additional or joint registrar, deputy registrar at the district level. And then at the Tehsil level, they have an assistant registrar. So you can visit the Tehsil or district office, wherein you can get further details on the registration modalities. Over and above that, there is a one law called Mutually Aided Cooperative Society Act. In some of the state, we have this Mutually Aided Cooperative Society Act also. And then the organization who wants to work for more than one state, so they get registered under the Multi-State Cooperative Society Act, which comes under the Ministry of Cooperation, the new ministry which has been now formed at the central government level. Earlier, it was the part of the Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Cooperation. And now, in 2003 onwards, effectively, the producers company. Within the Indian Companies Act only, this new Chapter 9A has been added, and that's called as a Producers Company Act, which is more of on the farmers are coming together and then starting their own, a producer company or the private company. Now, let me tell you a very fundamental difference between these. On one hand side, the for-profit entity, right? So let's take example, Reliance, right? So if you are having a shares in the Reliance, right? You are trading those shares, but you don't have a ownership on Reliance. It is just shares you have purchased, right? And then getting whatever the, share increase and value of that share increase, decrease. So you accordingly, you take a call. But Reliance does not ask you, you have a share of mine, right? So you need to buy the grocery from Reliance Fresh, or you need to buy petrol from the Reliance petrol pump. No. But in the case of cooperative, the mutual benefit organization, social enterprises, because it's the people are coming together, right? The needy people or the people having common need, could be economic, social, cultural, or even for that matter, aspirations. So such people are coming together and then starting the cooperative. So by default, they are, economically, they are whatever the meager resources they are having. So they are, buying it as a share. So they have a shares. If they have a share, that means they are a owner of that cooperative society. That means they can contest election. They stand for the becoming a director, chairman, whatever the office bearers positions are there. Number one. Number two, they have to also participate in the business activity. That means if a dairy cooperative society, almost every village has a dairy cooperative society, plus every village has a primary agricultural credit cooperative society. In Maharashtra, Vividh Karyakari Society, So the people who are coming together for a given purpose, let's say dairy cooperative for understanding. So it is a duty of all the dairy farmers to pour a milk to their own society, not to any private vendor. So that is how the self-help and mutual help. So that is the fundamental principle behind this, the cooperative, right? So it is mandated for the cooperative members to do a transaction with their own cooperative society. And whatever the market price is there, at that price only the cooperative purchase that milk. And then at the end of the year, they also give a dividend. They also give a bonus as per the volume of participation of those different farmers. So that's how the fundamental difference between these two entities. Not for profit, yes, as I mentioned, as I told you. So they are mission driven. They do commercial activity, but then profit reinvested. So by default, further, in upcoming slide, you will get to know that these cooperatives, they work for both for profit also and not for profit also, right? So how for not for profit they works, let's understand further from the upcoming slides. So before that, just for your information, so at different points of time, when we talked about these cooperative and social enterprises, these different models came. Like cooperative, I was telling, since 1904, we have these cooperatives. Then, uh, uh, you know, uh, it's because of the kind of design flaw, you may say, or the kind of criteria we have had in cooperative, particularly in the primary agricultural credit cooperative society. The land is mandatory. The farmer who land on their record of the women's, they have land recorded on their name. So by default, the women were left out from this stream, and then because of which, in during 80s, these SHG, the self-help groups movement started, right? And then since then, we are talking about gender empowerment, women empowerment, and so on and so forth. And then 2000 onwards, we have this farmer producers organization as a broader concept, but it's all about the Producers Company Act. So on this aspect, I'll be talking little late, in upcoming slide, just to understand from the legal point of view. But the concept is just to give, it's a new generation cooperative basically, because the focus was on how we can have a commodity specific value chain, right? So that was the idea basically. And I was, in my previous slide, I told you from farm gate to the consumer across different commodities, we are losing around 92,000 crore rupees. And within these different commodities, if you see the percentage of the milk, so milk percentage is less than 1%, means in terms of the loss. Why? Because the kind of dairy cooperative movement which we have. So because of this Amul model replicated pan India, so in every state we have a end-to-end value chain of the milk through a cooperative model, and that was the learning, how we can create a commodity specific value chain, and because of which this new generation cooperative, which are being now called as a farmer producers organization, this concept came basically. Last but not least, the startup. Startup is the particularly a private model. It's not a cooperative and social enterprises, but yes, though it's a startup registered under the private limited company, but if that startup is working for the social cause, right? So it's depend on the purpose for which you are working actually. It's not that key, the private peoples are not a purpose driven organization, right? It's not like that. So those who are typically private person working on the commercial activity, so for them it is mandated to spend of their profit as a CSR, that, right? And then they spend on all those activities invested in the CSR norms. But let's take an example. Nowadays there are so many startup, particularly one startup in the Uttar Pradesh, so there are so many flowers are being thrown in the Ganga, in the Kashi or Ayodhya, almost in all the temples we see this kind of a practice. We throw all these garbage and then flowers into the rivers and then water bodies. So that startup, IIT Kanpur startup, basically, they have started They have collecting these flowers. They have given employment to many women. They have created SHGs, and then they have started the brand called Fool, right? So you can further, go in detailing and of that, startup, the brand called Fool. So it's depend on the purpose for which you are doing any kind of a business. So as per that, you can classify as a social enterprise. So there are different schools of thought which talks about which one is the social enterprises or which one is not, right? So, but yes, startup having some kind of a social, environmental, economic purpose, right? Generating huge employment for the people, that can be called as a purpose-driven organization. And then that's how, as I mentioned, the government of India is giving a lot of focus, and then there are a lot of incubation center in almost in every institute. Now we have a incubation center, right? So wherein they are incubating the ideas of the people and then converting into a business opportunity. And then there are well established research across these different commodities, sorry, across these different enterprises or business model, which has impacted the lives of the people. Now, just for understanding the farmer producer organization, because it's using terminal concept of farmer producer organization. So FPO is just a name, basically. It's just a brand name government of India they are using, right? It's more of on the people, the practicing farmer coming together, and then they are registering their organization either as a cooperative society or maybe a multi-state, as I already told, or maybe as a producers company, right? There are, from law point of view, there are minor variation into it, right? But yes, the regulatory affair is definitely changing. Producer company comes under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. Plus, there are organizations, means FPOs, they have registered under the not-for-profit entity, means Section 8, society is public. But fundamentally, the idea of the FPO is the farmer should work for profit. Actually, it's not the not-for-profit entity, right? But yes, there were instances those who wants to have that kind of objective of promotion of new cooperatives, new FPOs under the above 3 Act. So there are some FPOs they have registered under this as a not-for-profit entities. Very few, but here, what aspect we need to understand? Registering cooperative or registering FPC or registering, for that matter, a startup or private company is not a big thing, right? It is just, if you approach CSCS, so they will just, within a 15 days, everything will be, done as far as the private limited is concerned. If it is cooperative, it may take, 30 to, 60 to 90 days. It's depend on the state car provision. And in FPC also, within a 15 to 20 days, you can get a certificate. So registration is not a big thing. What matters is, and this is where most neglected part in our space, in FPO, cooperative social enterprise space, that what is your business plan? What is your idea basically? For what purpose you are planning to register your organization? Who are going to be benefited out of it? Who would be those shareholder, right? So the need identification and then identifying that service gap, whatever the business opportunity, and then mobilizing people accordingly, and then developing that business plan. That is very important actually, right? And I'm sure in your 2 years ka journey in the Pimpri Chinchwad University, I think definitely you will be oriented through those different subject of entrepreneurship development, and then the rural development, by which you will get that kind of a lens to how we can come out with the business idea and business opportunity. Let's now go deep into further into this cooperative. As I already mentioned in my initial remark, it's just people are coming together and then meeting their common economic, social, cultural needs through a jointly owned organization, and they are based on the self-help, mutual help, responsibility. So these are all the moral values, ethical values based on which you need to run this organization. So we need to have that kind of a vision. like again take an example, because that's what the globally renowned story which we have, the Tribhuvandas Patel, the farmer leader who basically envisioned and then who basically started the dairy cooperative movement in the Anand Milk Union Limited. That's how the Amul, the Kheda district, the brand name came, right? The Anand Milk Union Limited. So that man basically started with that idea, and then the technocrat Dr. Verghese Kuren, who was the employee of that Anand Milk Union, he then provided technical skill sets, and that's how the the dairy cooperative movement, the Amul brand came, and then that's how we became a self-sufficient in the white revolution by implementing or by replicating this Amul model pan India. So that's kind of a visionary, that's kind of a, purpose-driven leaders are the need, are the requirement of these, today's, world. And then these are the 7 principles. So you can see, so by default, we work for, as I mentioned, for profit and not for profit. And these are the 7 principles followed across the globe. So International Cooperative Alliance formed way back in 1895, right? So they have come out with these different, 7 principles, golden principles, evolved over the period of time, right? So open and voluntary membership. So that does not mean that if a dairy cooperative society is there, so any non-dairy farmers also can join. No, the purpose is you should not discriminate any dairy farmers based on the class, creed, or whatever the social hierarchy we may follow in our society. Democratic member control. So one member, one vote. Every member has one vote. Member economic participation, as I told you. So every member contribute in terms of the share, and at the same time, he has to, participate in the business affair, whatever the business services are being provided by the society. Autonomy independence is more of on how basically the board of directors, the people having control over the financials, how far basically they are diversifying their business portfolio. You see the Amul, if you visit the exclusive stall of the Amul, you will find more than 50 products, right? That's how the sustainable competitiveness in your strategic management subject, you will understand the strategy in detail. Because when it's talked about business, it's all about strategic management actually, right? So let's take an example. So Amul, have you ever thought कि Amul will come out with haldi milk during COVID time, right? So haldi milk came in the market because during COVID time, if I'm a COVID patient and my wife is also not ready to serve me, to give me food, it is I have to do everything, right? So there was a demand. So it's all about demand and supply nowadays, right? Post 91, when we have had that economic reforms, that's how the prominently called as the LPG era, liberalization, privatization, globalization. Since then, it's all about market forces, demand, supply. So all those things you will understand in the managerial economics and then those different courses. So you need to understand these developmental discourse, and then accordingly, we need to have that strategy of business. So the sustainable competitiveness. So there was a demand. So in COVID time, Amul came up with this healthy milk. They tracked that commodity after COVID. The demand got reduced by default, of course, and then they stopped the production. But then whatever the investment, whatever the windfall profit they got, that's fine, perfect. So that's how every commodity, every variant they are tracking, and then accordingly they are coming out with the different products. Now let's take an example of other private models. Let's take an example, well-known Parle G, right? So I think during your childhood times you have also must have had Parle G. Now also you must be having, the upcoming generation definitely will have, so the way the chocolate and biscuit industry is growing, like FMCG sector, Parle G still exists, right? So something must be there, right, in the company. So that we need to understand what is that, right? Now tell me, where is your Nokia? Where is your Sonata? Where is your Titan, right? Where is your Kodak camera? Where are these brands? They vanish actually. The market has thrown out them, right? So they don't exist now because they could not cope up with this change. They could not understand the demand and then test and preferences, right? That is how independence, I think there is a spelling mistake. So independence means how we can, have the diversification in our business model, right? So that's, and then by having a more revenue stream, we can become a autonomous. And then education, training, cooperation among cooperatives, concern for community. It's not about members, how we can work for the community also. And that is how they work for the not for profit also. So by default, we the 2% CSR ka jo percentage hai for the private. So in cooperative, we have by default this provision for work for the community. Now, why do these model matters to today? As I already told, because of to address these different failures and then all those things aligned with the SDGs and ESGs, right? Resilient during crisis, the COVID example I already talked about, right? So now few case studies. So to understand, so to know what are the cooperatives, how many cooperatives in your own village, in your rural, urban areas, is there any cooperative? So there is a one national cooperative database. Every it's a district wise, village wise database is open access is available. So I have mentioned, right? So that you can understand. Now let's understand the structure. So this is how the entire cooperative movement look like. So there are 8.5 lakh cooperatives. At the bottom, we have all primary cooperative societies, and then as per the nature of business model, they have a federal structure up to the national level. That is the National Cooperative Union of India. Then there are some multi-state, as I mentioned, as I told you. So they also have a federation. They also get a membership to different cooperatives as per the nature of business model. On the left-hand side, you can see the union concept. So this union basically works for the development promotional purpose. They support these cooperatives. This is the regulatory structure. So as I told you, the assistant registrar, additional joint deputy, RCS. So, and then at the national level also we have this structure. So in this structure, there are huge vacancies are now coming up, right? Because of now this Ministry of Cooperation, now there is almost in every fortnight there is a meeting with the state authorities, and then there are so many schemes, program, are being rolled out. So the need are being felt to have, to induct new staff in this state, cooperation department. So have eye on this, department, so that, the government jobs are, going to come in this sector. Plus the Tribhuvan Sahakar University, a national cooperative university, has also been, established. The IRMA, the Institute of Rural Management, Anand, that has been now converted into a Tribhuvan Sahakar University. So many now UG, PG, PhD courses are coming up, so that, the professionals can join this cooperative movement either as an employee or the manager in those different organizations which I was talking about, or they can start their own cooperative also, right? So that's how the opportunities which are there in this sector. And the Indian cooperative movement is the largest cooperative movement in the world. And out of these 8.5 lakh, around 16 cooperatives have been featured in the World Cooperative Monitor Report. So the IFCO, the agriculture student must be knowing, the IFCO and CRIFCO, they are the leading. So IFCO is globally number one in terms of their turnover per GDP per capita, and then followed by the Amul, the Gujarat model, CRIPCO. Then there are around 4 state cooperative banks: the Kerala State Cooperative Bank, Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank, Karnataka, UP. Plus there are 4 urban cooperative banks, prominently from the Maharashtra only, like Saraswat Cooperative Bank, Shamrao Vittal Cooperative Bank from Mumbai, Thane Janta Sahakari Bank from the Cooperative Bank, Thane. So, and then Buldhana Urban Credit Cooperative from the Buldhana, Vidarbha region. So these are the, very good cooperatives, and more, besides this, there are n number of good cooperatives are there, which are now looking after the professionals like you. So there are so many opportunities. So one very, important initiative started by the Ministry of Cooperation is the PACS, the Primary Agriculture Credit Cooperative Society. So every village has this Primary Agriculture Credit Cooperative Society. And then if you see the kind of business activity which now they can do it, earlier it is more often they just give a crop loan, right? The crop loan, which is, since the 19, since independence, basically this scheme is going on, which is through these packs, that Kisan credit card. So earlier it was more often focus on the credit side, but now all these agri allied, the consumer services can also now start, can packs can start. Plus packs can also start now Jan Aushadhi Kendra, for which now they are now looking for the pharmacists, basically, right? So they are looking for the B Farm, M Farm student, MBA students, so that they can run their Jan Aushadhi Kendra. Similarly, the fertilizer shop, input shop, organic shop. So for that, the agriculture graduate students, they can basically join these packs and then start, helping these organizations. To support these packs now further, and in view of the developmental scenario which is there, like the climate change and all those aspects which I mentioned, so Government of India, has started these three new multi-state. One is National Cooperative Organic Limited, because there are very few players in private, those who are into this organic space. But to support are the cooperatives. This new multi-state has been established. Then Export Limited, National Cooperative Export, because it's very difficult for individual farmers or the small cooperatives to go for the export market because of the kind of cartel of private people, traders, associations, we have. So how to break that? So there is a one National Cooperative Export Limited has been established, plus the Bharatiya Bij Sahkari Samiti, the National Seed Cooperative Society. So the ICR, National Seed Corporation, and then IFCO, CRIFCO, they are the promoter of this seed cooperative. Why now? Because the Syngenta, Mahiko, the seed industry player, right? The private players you may be knowing. So they have the monopoly on this seed industry. And then what? How they do the seed production, despite the fact they also have their own experimental plot, but largely they do seed production through contract farming by having contract with the farmers only, and at the very meager price they purchase, those seeds, and then farmers, they are getting very marginal income out of that. To support those farmers, this new multi-state has been established. So, and then if you see the now also, I think NCOL, NCL ka vacancies are there on their respective website, and then there are so many vacancies are coming up because this is newly established. As they are getting business, they are expanding. They are basically coming out with different vacancies, right? So these three organizations are supporting packs, are supporting other agricultural cooperatives, and then in general non-credit cooperatives whose business are aligning with these three new multi-state. One very good example, this is not a cooperative, but yes, it's a farmer producers company. It is there in our northern Maharashtra, right, in the Nasik area. And then I would request the management to please, have industry visit to Sahyadri Maha FPC, some Sahyadri farms, because the kind of empire, established by the Mr. Vilas Shinde, who is basically BTech agri graduate. So he has, established this brand. It's a globally renowned. They are into a grape basically, and then other horticultural commodity. So very beautifully they have implemented the Amul model, the cooperative model. Like, just imagine the way we have a dairy cooperatives village wise, right? Different dairy cooperatives in a district. And then at the district level, we have a district cooperative, dairy cooperative union where milk processing is happening, right? So similarly, the Sahyadri farms, the Sahyadri farm is the mother farmer producer company, Sahyadri Farmers Producer Company. Under this FPC, they have a commodity-wise FPC, right? You can see here. So this becomes the aggregation point. So all those commodities are coming to the mother company where the processing is happening, right? And then further, The way demand is, the aggregation is increasing, the processing capacity of Sahyadri, the mother company, is fully 100% is utilizing. So now to create the investment, or to create the processing capacity at the respective FPC level, and it needs huge investment, right? So then they have started the Sahyadri Post Harvest Care Private Limited. Through that, they have generated the investment, and then they have started now decentralizing this manufacturing. Plus, they have started the Sahyadri Supply Chain Private Limited, because the marketing of the Sahyadri products is through different retailers, vendors, the wholesalers. So, and then they are the front runner of the Sahyadri brand. So to give ownership to those people, they have established this Sahyadri Supply Chain Private Limited, wherein the people, those vendors, those players, they have a share into this private limited. That's how they have generated investment also, and then the Sahyadri's brand ambassador. Then Sahyadri Agro Retail Private Limited company. So Sahyadri Agro Retail Private Limited. So to provide the backward linkages, or to provide the input, seed, fertilizers, right? The Sahyadri Agro Retail company provide all those backward linkages, all those services. That's how the business model, developed over the period of time. That's how the FPC. You must visit. It's a really eye-opening for everyone. Now let's look at the other example, other sector, the health sector. In cooperative, we have a health cooperatives also. So there are different models. What is that? If it is health cooperative, it is understood that the health professionals, whether it is pharmacists, are coming together and starting a pharmaceutical cooperative, means manufacturing the medicine. Understood? Secondly, doctors are coming together and starting a hospital cooperative, right? But then you will surprised to know the common man, like we people, the common man also coming together and starting health cooperative. So this JG cooperative is the first amongst all the health cooperatives in India. So the common man have coming together, and then on no profit, no loss basis, just to provide affordable health facility to the people of the region, they have started this health cooperative. And then they have onboarded the doctors, and then all those technocrats to provide those services. So it's three different types within the health cooperative. Common man also can come together and start these health cooperative. The technical people having the knowledge of this sector can also come together and start their own cooperatives, right? Plus, what they have done very beautifully in medical education, the story of medical education. People are really mad for this medical education. They spend almost 2-3 years for that exam, that medical exam, NEET exam, right? So these health cooperatives, they have started the medical colleges, the nursing courses also, so that the people of rural region, the youths, they can have that affordable medical education also, and then they are inducting those students in their own hospital, and then cooperative. So that's how the inclusive and resilient business model. Another very good example, the Uralungur labor. Once we hear or listen the concept of labor, one image creates in our mind. But they are also human beings. And you know what? In 1925, they have started with the idea of to get a dignified life, right? So without labor, like whether it is, the community helpers, nowadays we are calling them as a community helper, the sweeper, the, electrician. So without them, we can't live, right? So these people are also coming together and then starting the cooperative. So this labor contract and construction workers cooperative. So you can see they have a typically workers, the laborers, they have engineers, they have a modern technician, right? They have a migrant laborers. So all these people, they take a different project like construction project. You can see the number of projects which they have completed in the Kerala. So let's take it. They have taken an example. Let's take an example. They have got the project of construction of flyover or the bridges, right? So these laborers, the workers, the members of this cooperative, they actually work, right? So by default, they are getting a dignified life. They are getting a decent work, right? For which they are getting paid also. And this is the globally in the industry and utility sector. This is the globally, ranking on the second, ranked second in the top 300 cooperatives worldwide in the industry and utility sector. The last example, this is our kind of, we have provided training and then we have guided these, initiatives from the Bihar, right? It's a Bihar. Initially, they have started with how they have started. A few youngsters, the middle age, farmers, they came together. All the farmers, they came together and then started vegetable cooperative society, right? They are growing also, and then locally in their village and nearby village, they are selling it. Slowly, many farmers joined hands, and then that's how they're they have started federating that. So they have in Bihar, there are different regions, right? So they have started three different unions, like which they call Mithila Union, Harit Union, and then Tirhat Union. So across these 20 districts, right, around 285 vegetable cooperative societies they have formed, right? And then they have mapped the route also within those 20 districts. They have mapped out the route. So after harvesting of the vegetables through these mobile vans, the they are traveling and then this selling these vegetables. So what they have done, they have developed the application, right? From here it will be clear. So they have developed one Tarkari app, right, wherein farmers and then those primary vegetable cooperative societies have onboarded. So they have provided all their data. Like say it's an individual farmer, so how much area I have, what kind of vegetables I'm growing. It's all the facts and figures, so that at the vegetable cooperative society they will get to know how many farmers are there growing typically one village, one vegetable, let's say cauliflower, whatever the vegetable. And then based on that they have developed that kind of algorithm and then worked out the how much vegetable on a given date I may get. Similarly, on the another side, the customers of that region have registered on that, so that they are well in advance, they are getting to know about the demand also. And like that, the demand supply gap, and then route has already been decided, and then that's how basically they are working. Besides this, the domestic or local selling, they have also tied up with the hotel, restaurant, canteen, the midday meal schools, the schools, hospitals, in a jail also. So they have tied up with all those institutions, so that they can get a ready business. So friends, just to conclude, basically, started with the global and nationwide challenges for which now every business model is looking after some kind of creating impact, the purpose-driven impact. So largely, what we foresee within these, agriculture and within this agri-food system, and सांग ना just lecture मध्ये call करतील तुम्हाला. How we can create that productive and efficient ecosystem because of this climate change and all those things which I talked about. So on production front, we are leading. We are almost in number one and number two across different commodities. But how we can enhance the productivity, how we can create that efficient ecosystem, and that is where the agri-science universities, all those research institutions are working on it. Plus, how we can create that environmentally sustainable, climate resilient agriculture, how we can have that inclusive development so that no one leaves behind, and nutrition and health driven. That's how the organic farming and all those ecosystem which are now talking about. And most importantly, part is the how we can create a business friendly ecosystem. So a lot of reforms are being taken place. So now ease of doing business, the India rank also is increasing day by day, so that whosoever wants to start any business, so he or she should be in a position to start his or her business. Plus, as far as the cooperative is concerned, so now in our constitution also, the cooperative has now got space. Now starting a cooperative has become a now fundamental right as far as the Article 14B is concerned. Plus, the promotion of cooperatives also become a part of the constitution under Article 43B. That's how the directive principle of state policy. So the cooperative has got that kind of a space in our constitution also, so that we can create that kind of a purpose driven leadership and then purpose driven organization. So the key message from my presentation is to create a purpose driven leadership, to create a purpose driven performance, so that you can create a meaningful impact, which now globally, because of all those challenges of inequality and unemployment, every country now has understood that we need to have we need to create impactful organizations or impactful leaderships, so that we can have the balanced development. And that's how the global and nationwide agenda is also now coming up in that way, like the SDGs, and now we are talking about environmental, social, and governance framework, ESG framework, and for which the cooperative and social enterprises are the best fit model. And you can understand based on the full-fledged ministry has been now established by the Indian government, and then there are many countries who have basically the exclusive ministry of cooperation. And one best example which I generally quote, in USA also, right? The very best example, in 1930s, USA was not electrified. The electricity wasn't challenged at that time. So what they have done, they promoted rural electric cooperatives, right? So through that rural electric cooperatives, within a 15-20 years, the entire USA got electrified. And now in the 21st century, when we are now talking about the climate change, now USA's those rural electric cooperatives are now transitioning from those electric cooperative to now renewable energy cooperative, the green energy cooperatives. So now every country, the point is every country is using this cooperative as a business model by which you can have this inclusive and sustainable and resilient development. So friends, focus, you need to, in this 2 years journey, you need to focus more on skilling and building competencies. So you will be nurtured or you will be oriented through different courses, right? Across your MBA degree. So you need to develop your domain expertise, because without substance in you, without competency, the kind of confidence, the kind of aspiration will not come. So you need to have that kind of a skill sets in you. Then only you would be in a position to face the whosoever, whether it is going for any interview, for seeking any employment, or maybe even starting your own enterprise and then facing the investors, for getting investment in your startup. So definitely you can perform those tasks very well. So friends, you are the future leaders. You are the purpose-driven leader. So focus more on developing competencies, focus more on developing the skill sets in you, because that will give you, confidence, so that nobody can stop you. So with this, thank you so much for your patience listening. And then I would be happy to take, whatever questions you may have, or whatever I talked about, whether you agree, disagree, or, if you are confused. So please do ask. I'm here for your, addressing your queries. So over to you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We will keep forum open for a few minutes. We will wait if students have some queries in their mind. So they will be coming up with their question in chat box. Students, if you have some queries regarding the session, and if you want to know anything else from the sir, so he's here to give his opinion and his guidance. Please go ahead with the questions. You can ask question in the chat box. Sir, I don't
It generally
feel
happens actually. No, it's a
Yeah.
pre-induction class, so
Yeah. So formally, I'm Dr. Deepti Sharma to propose the vote of thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of PCET, Pimpri Chinchwad University, and the School of Management, I would like to express heartfelt gratitude to everyone present here today. First and foremost, I would like to extend special thanks to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Sagar Wadkar, Cooperative Expert from Government of India, for taking the time to be with us today and sharing such insightful knowledge on the topic Management with a Purpose, Pathways Through Cooperative and Social Enterprise. Your expertise for management approach that goes beyond just profit making to include social impact and collective benefit, which really have given a new dimension to students for shaping up their future careers. We are deeply grateful to Dr. Amit Patil, Dean of School of Management, for his continued guidance and support in organizing and enlightening this session. His leadership has made today's event possible and successful. We are grateful to the organizing team for the hard work and seamless coordination, making sure everything went smoothly. A big thanks to all faculty members of School of Management, PCU, for their valuable support, efforts, and guidance as and when it is required. A special thanks to Executive Director Dr. Girish Desai sir, Vice Chancellor Dr. Govind Kulkarni, and Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Sudeep Thepre sir. Finally, last but not the least, thank you to all the participants who joined us today. We hope you find these all sessions. Like today, we are concluding with the masterclass series. So all of the session, including today's one, especially the today one, you might have found these valuable. That you take away practical knowledge to implement in your professional journeys. Let's continue to stay curious and keep learning with PCU. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again. Officially, now we are closing this meeting for today. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you, everyone.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
To the management of PCT's Pimpri Chinchwad University School of Management, especially Dr. Amit Patil sir, because he has basically invited me, and followed by Dr. Rajiv, Saili, and Dipti ma'am. And thank you, student, and then all the best for your 2 year journey in this university. So all the best.
Thank you very much, sir. We will stay in touch. We will call you further also for the special guidance for the students. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.